Hi, I'm Dr. David Pillow, and I teach undergraduate and graduate statistics in psychology. And I'm going to be doing a little video series on the use of JASP. JASP is a great little program. It is free, number one. Number two, its underbelly, the way that it works is based upon R, and it has capabilities of taking you further into R, but also making R easier to utilize. And it has an interface that in many respects is like SPSS, which is many people's favorite uh, uh, program for doing statistics in the social sciences. So let's get started by figuring out how to get there. So just put in to Google JASP for JASP. Look it up and you should come up with this really quick. JASP, refresh way to do statistics. And go over here, click on download JASP and hit the Windows installer to get started. And once you do that, you'll notice it's already starting to download over here. Once it downloads, then I can basically put that onto my computer. I've already done that. And so I'm going to go ahead and skip that step and let you go through that one yourself. So once you get JASP on your machine, open it up. When you open it up, this is what it's going to look like essentially. And what you're going to see is a number of faded out program modules here for doing analysis, and a little button on the right hand side where you can add, and I've already added in some of those that I'm playing with and making use of. On the left hand side is the main menu. So go to the three bars on the left menu. And the best way to start with the use of JASP is to get used to using some of the data sets that are currently already available there. Later on, we'll show you how to open up your own data sets and import them into JASP. But right now, I'm just going to go to open and go to the data library as a way to start. So the data library, I'm going to go over here to descriptives, and I'm going to take the very first data set here, which is a data set called sleep. I'm going to click on that. And when I click on that, a lot has actually happened here because it already has some data that it's already set up to run and to give you this output and a little description of the data. This happens when you're using the data library and is unlikely to happen, shouldn't happen when you put in your own data. When you put in your own data, you should just see the data. But once you have the data, you'll notice that these little modules, buttons are lit up saying, hey, we're ready to do analyses with those. So JASP works with a 3-screen system, as does SPSS. SPSS has a data window, and here's your data window, where you can see that we have 20 participants and that we have 3 variables. I'm going to come back to that, but I want to focus right now on the 3 windows. If you go over to the right and click here, the other 2 windows open up, and they cover up the data window. But if I go and I grab right here and move this over, I can now see all 3 windows. So I have a data window, the command window. So this is where you set up how you want the analysis done. And then there's the output window. And that shows you the output of what's been run. And you can move these around. If you want to focus on the output, you can click on that. You want to focus on So there's the output. I can click on that left-hand side, then I get the program. Whenever you get the program, you're also going to see the output, so you don't just see the program. And then when you click there, you just see the data. So again, a 3-window system. So JASP basically starts off. Let's note the 3 variables and talk about this problem a little bit. So what they've done with this problem, the data set that they're using is a classic data set from long ago, where they basically had people sleep. They recorded how long they slept, and that was under control conditions. We don't see that information here. What we see is that they gave them one of 2 medications. On one night they gave them one medication, on another night they gave them a different medication. Those 2 medications are numbered 1 and 2. I don't really know that much about the medication. The description that you see over here basically says it's a type of sorific drug. Doesn't say much more about that than. So 2 drugs, and then when they took the first drug, they measured, did they sleep more? So here's a person that slept 3.7 hours more with that first drug. And that's person number 7. That same person on the second drug slept 5.5 more hours. So they slept even longer. So if they were only getting like 3 hours of sleep, and now they're sleeping longer with the 3.4, but even better with the second drug. So just looking at that one person, it does look as though the second drug is working better than the first, but that's just one person, so we're going to have to see. I want you to look at how this data is demarcated. So there's a little ruler next to extra, and that ruler basically means that it's considered a continuous variable. So continuous can mean widely ranging. It can mean, typically implies that the measurement has been done on a ratio or interval scale of measurement. In contrast, we have nominal or categorical variables over here. So the group is considered categorical, hence those 3 little circles. And the ID is also considered categorical, even though you could count it, how many participants do I have? That could have been done as a scalar variable. There's reasons to consider it a categorical variable as well. So you notice that if I left click, I can see that it's scale. I can actually go ahead and make changes and say, hey, I want to treat that one as a scale variable. And I typically like to treat pretty much everything as a scale variable, but I pretty much know what I'm doing and what inferences are correctly taken from that or not. So one part is demarcating it so that you don't get into analyses where you're making faulty implications. The other is that some of the modules on here are only going to take certain types of variables. So you could put everything as a scale variable if it would take all variables and all you had to do is worry about making the correct inferences, but sometimes you will have to worry about actually coding it so that the module actually takes it and makes use of that variable as you want. I'm going to go ahead and switch that back to nominal. Notice that we also have ordinal. So ordinal would be that if it's on a scale such as hurricane classification, where 1 is the least severe and 5 is the most severe, but it's not technically a ratio or interval scale, doesn't have equal intervals. So it's better as an ordinal variable. So you have those 3 choices. Okay, so that's the basics for getting started here. And I'm going to stop there and then pick it up with the next video. Thanks.